Hey everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into this. I don't know if you're watching the full thing over on my TikTok or my YouTube right now, or it's just a clip on TikTok or YouTube Shorts, but thank you for looking at this. We are playing On Call today, the Werewolf dispatching game, which I made and am currently launching on BackerKit so that I can afford a layout designer, 2 artists, and an editor to give you guys the best game possible. If you don't already know this, the game has been completely made. It's done. Does it need some play testing outside of what I've done so far? Yes. But the second the BackerKit funds, all eligible pledges will get the game immediately, and a playtest form if you want to help out with that part. But without further ado, I'm going to let my two amazing guests introduce themselves, and then we're going to dive into the game. What we're going to do with that is we're going to talk about making the character, and then we're going to dive into 2 to 3 scenarios so you really get a feel for it. But Nico, I'm popcorning it to you first.
Hi, my name is Nico DeGaio. And I'm an actor, voice. Oh, I hit my microphone. Oh no, I threw off my Riz. Hi, I'm Nico DeGaio. I'm a professional actor, voice actor, burlesque host, and game master. And I am excited to be here. I'm also a werewolf enthusiast and aficionado. I'm even wearing my Wolf Rider shirt. There's a wolf on it. So I'm ready to go. I'm super excited. I got the energy. Can you feel it? Can you feel me? All right, let's go. And then I'd like to pass it off to my homie over here, the permanent DM.
Yeah, hey there. I'm permanent DM. My main thing that I'm going to be known for is I kind of am the West Marches guy, but I made a game called All Mice Die. And while I'm not a super werewolf aficionado, I'm a huge proponent of and a huge fan of the more everyday, day-to-day, mundane things with the supernatural in the background. And so the vibe of On Call, where it's like, yeah, this is something that we'd actually have to have in a world where we have these elements, it's just perfect for me. So I'm super excited, and thank you for inviting me to play with this.
Thank you guys for joining. Honestly, folks, every time they talk really nice about it, it literally just the dimples be dimpling, as my friend likes to say to me. But okay, let's dive into this, folks. First off, how to play the game. So you need a GM. Hi. And you need 1 to 2 players, 1 and 2, or 1 and 2. And you need 2d6 or 4d6. I'm saying either or because I know when I'm playing a game, I don't like re-rolling the dice that I already rolled. So the 4d6 comes in handy if you want to do it like that. Now, there are 6 stats in this game. There is charisma, instinct, intelligence, reflex, strength, and control. The first 5, pretty self-explanatory. Charisma, you can intimidate people, you can charm people. Instinct is like perception and insight. Intelligence is reasoning and memory. Reflex is speed and evasion. Strength is lifting and striking. Now, control is the one that's probably a little less obvious. Control is essentially health and stamina. Now, when you're making your characters, you are going to have for the first 5, so again, charisma, instinct, intelligence, reflex, and strength, you're going to have a +3, +2, a 0, a -2, and a -3 to spread across your stats. So what that functionally what that looks like is when you become a werewolf, you have things when you're in your human form that are naturally heightened, and then you have things that are like, okay, I was already bad at this when I was still like a human, so that's where the positives and negatives kind of come in there. Now, for health and stamina, you get to pick between 1, 2, or 3, and what that functionally looks like is it's determining how strong or weak of a wolf you are, right? So as of right now of this play testing, it might change. Permanent DM had a really great suggestion, but for this moment, we're gonna stick with how this works right now is you would pick a 1 if you think that you don't have a lot of control over your shifting and you're a weak wolf, or you would pick a 3 if you think you have a lot of control of your shifting and you are like almost the apex being of a werewolf, like someone who is a step or 2 down from a pack master, which anybody can technically become based on, getting stronger and stuff. Now, you're asking yourself, why would I want to be a weak werewolf? Part of this game isn't just about optimization, although I support it. I'm pro optimization in characters. It's also a narrative focused game. So really it's about you sitting down and asking yourself, is my guy really powerful? Is my guy on the weaker end? Am I in the middle? This is the opportunity to really narratively focus on what your werewolf is about. All right, gang, have the 2 of you done your like control, your charisma, where you're putting everything?
I just rolled randomly, so
That's one way to do it.
it's not done. What I haven't figured out is control, because I'm thinking of making the
Mhm.
control sort of make sense after I roll up the other characters. So
Makes sense. Yeah, totally understand that. No worries there.
I
Nico, what
am
about you?
currently doing it right now. And I'm choosing not to overthink it. I think that they're a smart person who's got a good personality. Who does that remind you of? And I
DJ.
think it does, doesn't it? And then let's see here. I'll go ahead and give myself I'm not very strong. This refers, I'll be 0 because in my autism and anxiety, I thought the gym's probably a good way to get rid of the anxiety, and it didn't. It just made me lift heavier. But you know what lifting weights doesn't do? Make you fast. So that's gonna be my -3, and my complete obliviousness to reality around me, and what causes a majority of my social faux pas is going to be my instinct, and that's going to be my -2. So I got a charisma +2, instinct -2, intelligence +3, reflex is my -3, and my strength is my 0.
Nice.
Solid,
Actually,
solid.
got some decent overlap. So sort of like I said, I rolled randomly because I like to roll them up and then figure out who they are from the dice. Let the dice help me tell a fun story. And so ended up having the +3 goes to intelligence. The +2 is in strength. So we have a little bit of overlap there as well. My -3 is in reflex as well. So I'm sort of slow. I think with high int and high strength, I'm decisive when I act, but very slow to act. And that is reflecting in my my -2 charisma. Is by the time that I catch up to the conversation and decide to weigh in, we're 3 topics later, and people just look at me strange, being like, "Where we've moved on." But thank you for your comment.
And
So yeah,
I would normally shift my stats around because of that, because I'm always big, even when I play like games where it is about character optimization. Like, hey, let's not step on each other's toes and try different stuff out. But in this instance, because they explicitly said like it's not about character optimization, I'm going to do what I would normally consider shooting myself in the foot and allow for the overlap without like changing to suddenly completely correct and stuff.
I also think that's perfect for this because the story of this, for you, those of you that don't know, is these two were not supposed to be on call. Like there were 3 other people that were supposed to be on call. The 3 of them lived together. They had a family emergency and they had to leave. And so Jude Harvey, who is their pack master, was like, "Hey, I'm pulling names out of a thing," and y'all's names got pulled together, and that's the partners. So not playing to each other's strengths because an emergency showed up. So this is perfect. Okay. Do the 2 of you have any questions about how any of this works, how we're going to do things before I dive us into a scenario? And obviously, if you have questions during the gameplay, feel free to stop me and ask.
I'm just gonna roll for how strong I am and go from there.
All right. Let's do this. So, first thing I want, do you have names and what your guys look like? Totally fine if you don't yet. I'll describe where we find you and then you can describe them.
We're in like Colorado right now.
Yes. Oh no, Montana. West Yellowstone, Montana. Hey folks, all of the locations in this game and its like companion games exist in the real world because this is supposed to be set in our world right now. The year is 2026.
I'm going to let inspiration strike me.
I just started typing and I found out that I'm presenting female, apparently. All right.
I love it. But yeah, so as far as names and stuff goes, whenever you're ready for that, just share at any point. We can pause. Very go with the flow here. But all right, so let's do this. Okay, so right now, I think what is happening right in this moment, you're sitting in the conference room, which is where everybody gets dispatched out of. And inside of the conference room is a large meeting table with a dozen rolling chairs around it. The eastern side of the room has a podium, projector, and screen. Along the western wall are a variety of snacks, including vegan ones and 3 coolers filled with water, soda, and juice. The door to the conference room swings open and an unfamiliar face peers inside. Hello. Name's Nestor LaPierre, DMEO sanctioned bounty hunter, and I'm here to request assistance.
So they're a bounty hunter. Is that like a real world bounty hunter, or is there a supernatural element to the bounty hunter?
So real world bounty hunter, but some of them can be supernatural. Like there are human ones, there are vampire ones, werewolves, witches. It's a wide variety of them, but very much feels like the standard bounty hunter thing. And as he's kind of saying this to you, he's reaching into his pocket. He hands over his paperwork showing he's a legalized bounty hunter. I'm here to serve a removal warrant for Charlie Owen. Under the Magical Entities Cooperation Act, I'm here to formally request you help me bring the suspect in. Now, the two of you know, so the DMEO, the Department of Magical Entities and Occurrences, was instrumental in supernatural and magical people and other occurrences coming forward into the public eye. And there was a treaty between all of these various groups of like, hey, this is how we're going to be governed, et cetera, et cetera. You guys have these laws that protect you, but also you have these additional laws because, you know, magic powers. Dangerous it can be sometimes, and part of that is helping out the licensed authorities, so actual DMEO agents and people that are like contracted out by them to bring in supernatural suspects.
Okay, so this is something that we have like an implicit agreement with, that if someone's coming and doing this, this is not not necessarily outsiders coming in to meddle in our affairs, although probably there is some element of that.
Correct. And so just to give you a little bit of more, like a little background information, you know that your Packmaster, again, Jude Harvey, has helped DMEO agents and their contractors before, but all those other instances have been like, hey, we know that there is a dangerous like werewolf that's not a part of your pack or some other magical entity in the area. Can you help us, right? Like that's what all those other instances have been. It has never been for a pack member. So you know that your Packmaster helps generally, but you don't exactly know what his response would be to this situation. You also know Charlie. Charlie has been with the pack for about 5 years. Charlie's like this 5'2", rotund black person with dark brown skin, like plump lips, very rosy cheeks, and thick corn rolls. Her wolf form is like kind of mostly black fur with gray patches, and in that form, she's about 5 feet tall. And y'all also know that prior to her coming to the pack, she had an abusive ex who, in a dangerous situation, she shifted, killed him, and then ate him, at least parts of him before running off. Like, it was a very high-stress emotional situation. She's been very honest about that. Like, when she joined the pack, she was very honest about what happened to her. But yeah, so you know all this information as Nestor has come in here, and it's just kind of waiting on your response. Essentially, it's very much giving you a like, come on, let's go and do this. You have to help me kind of situation. But what are y'all actually doing? It's just the 3 of you in here. The rest of your like fellow on-call pack members have left at this point.
Okay. So Eldrick has a sick windbreaker on. It's one of those like they have their windbreaker sleeves kind of pushed up the forearms, and it's got like a collar that just stays up, but it's not obnoxiously like, this isn't like 2005, right? Like the collar is just a reasonable height, but it's popped. And there's like a zipper that goes like halfway down their chest that it's all the way open so that you can see their cool black t-shirt underneath. And the windbreaker's purple. That's what I've decided. And Eldrick has like a backwards snapback cap on. And he says, so what you're saying is we don't really have a choice, and we got to bring Charlie in?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Well, I suppose you could choose to break the act, but that'll have other consequences as well. So
And I look over at the other person in the room and I go, this sounds kind of like it sucks. What do you think?
So Thea, so short for Theodora, but basically nobody would call her that. She is like 5'4", redhead. She kind of always wears like kind of like darker greens, that sort of stuff, like foresty colors, neutral, earthy colors. And even if it's like warm and you don't need a jacket or anything, she wears like sun shirts and stuff, like light jackets, because sufficiently bright indoor lighting is a cause for sunburn for her. So she's usually kind of completely covered and very kind of slow to interact. But I'm gonna say that her -2 charisma is represented by her saying the quiet part out loud a lot. And so when this happens, she's gonna just say like, "Oh, is this some sort of extra problems from her eating her ex? As far as I can see, he think he deserved it. Is there
Yeah,
some
that guy
other
fucking
idea?"
sucked.
well, how much that man sucked notwithstanding, I find myself agreeing as well, having looked at the further case files, but murder is murder, and when you kill someone, you still have to stand trial for things, and perhaps it'll be seen as self-defense and nothing will happen to them, or perhaps it won't. This was prior to the, well, no, I take that back. It was not prior to the act, so this might go poorly for them, but the law is the law.
I want to look
Well.
over at Tia and I say, Tia, are the boys back at it again? And I like lift up my hand and dap Tia. And I look over at Tia and there's like I see you squint and I go, gender neutrally.
Okay. So she's like, and then she will extend the hand out. I think for Tia, she would kind of get to the idea of, this is Charlie has been open about her past. I don't think if she was going to hide someplace, she would not have told us. So let's let her speak for herself. Let's let her make her own decisions. It would be against my way to speak for another wolf. Let her speak for herself. Let's see if we can find her and work from there.
Well, this has gone much better than I thought it was. I do have to say there have been other packs that didn't really take very kindly to me having to bring in their pack mates and has on this I don't think I described this guy to you. So Nestor Pierre, 5'5" white guy, pale like olive skin, but it's on the paler side. Shoulder length, loosely curled brown hair. He's got a full goatee and a bushy eyebrows. He's wearing a black suit with white pinstripes with a cream turtleneck underneath. And will pull the turtleneck down and is very much stretching it and show the start of 3 claw marks coming across the chest. It was not fun, that particular one, but yes, thank you for following the law. But yes, let's go and find your companion. And I promise, assuming she doesn't make me use force, I have no plans to do so. I'm more than happy.
Okay. I'm not opposed to following the law when it makes sense. And I think it's just respectful of her to let her speak for herself. And I know I know that Tia shouldn't say that, but Tia is like, no, I want to clarify my point. I'm not going along with you because it's going along with you. It's because I respect this other person.
Eldrick looks over at you, and I think that for short they go by Ellie. Ellie looks over at you and is like, I'm just gonna go along with whatever Tia says anyway, because I like strong women.
And she just rolled her eyes.
And I just I as you turn around, I see your ripped deltoids, and I'm like, fuck yeah.
So the two of you get up and walk out with Nexter into the actual city, or West Yellowstone's more of a town. It's not, I think, big enough to be called a city. So here's the thing, folks, for the viewers at home and for my lovely players. Through the kind of 5 of these abilities, instinct would essentially be the one to roll when it comes to like hearing things, when it comes to smelling things. So I'm gonna ask the two of you to either make separate instinct rolls, or one of you can give the other person a helping hand. And what a helping hand is, folks, is essentially if you're instead of doing a roll for a particular thing, one of you can be like, hey, I'm going to help out, and give the person an extra d6 to roll. So it'd be 3d6, and you'd take the highest 2 and then add your modifier.
I'd like to give Tia a helping hand. Do I describe how I do that? Like how I help them, or?
Yeah, please go ahead and describe that. Again, folks, it's a narrative game. So, and this is specifically for the GMs. Unless the player says something buck wild, like I tune into my alien frequencies and it helps like very much like roll with it. It's since it's just a narrative way to talk about what the dice rolled and how they're helping out. Please take it away.
Okay.
Time period, right? Because I know this is modern day. But like, would our pack have a default answer for how we get a hold of each other? Like, is this post everybody has a cell phone era?
They said 2026.
It's 2026. Everybody has a cell phone. However, your Werewolf companions don't have them on there. However, while you're still in your like human forms, you can do like a variation of a howl that can be used for like other wolves knowing, oh, something's wrong here. Let's pinpoint that to find our companions, that kind of thing. But you know that Charlie's out running in the woods, so they would not be able to pick up a phone right now.
Gotcha.
Right,
I didn't know if it was like pre the assumption of shift, right? Like we're on call and we're like on duty right now. Got it.
I think that knowing that you're like trying to really tune in on what's going on around us and stuff like that, I look over to the other bounty hunter who like hired us and I go, hey, shut up, shut, hold it down. All right, she's trying to work, okay? Knock off Dog the bounty hunter. We've got this.
That feels deeply disrespectful for how we. All right.
Cool. You know what? We'll talk about it when I go to see you in therapy. Anyway, Tia, work. You got this.
Yeah, so she is going to be kind of walking through, kind of closing her eyes, mental mapping where it is, trying to not send out her perception supernaturally, right? But like kind of getting in the state of like, okay, if I was Charlie, where would I be? What would I be doing? Kind of put myself in their shoes to start trying to find out where they are. So, is this instinct? Is this the?
This will be instinct.
Okay.
I was giving it to you because I got a -2 in instinct.
Either. But a 5 and a 4 I feel like I've looked at the system and it doesn't necessarily matter which one's which, right?
So no, it doesn't. So because you have the helping hand, so you pick the 2 highest and then you add your modifiers there.
Oh, and then
so don't forget you're supposed to roll 3.
Yep, gives me extra die. So it would be 11 instead of 9.
Okay, excellent. So folks, just as of right now for the difficulty stuff, the scores are set like hard is like 14 to 15, medium is 9 to 13, easy is 4 to 8, and very easy is -1 to -3. Although in some of those, the only way you can get some of this is by a critical success or critical failure, which if that happens, we'll talk about that when it happens. If not, I'll tell you about that a little bit later. But with an 11, that is actually perfect. So inside of each scenario, folks, there is a scenario score. The typical one for this is a 13 for physical and a 13 for mental. However, because y'all have decided to actually help LaPierre and not fight him, you are doing the scores for Charlie Owens, which is an 8 and an 8. And essentially, if it's a physical stuff, if you're rolling reflex or strength, it'll be against the physical score. And if you're rolling charisma, instinct, or intelligence, it'll be against the mental score. But 11 is more than enough. So the two of you have been in the West Yellowstone Park, which is up against a number of other parks. Like all together, there's like millions and millions of acres for you guys to just run through. Typically, Harvey keeps you within like a mostly confined area, unless there's like a bigger plan to like going out further requires a little bit more security and stuff. So it takes a little bit more of planning. But when they haven't done that, you're like kind of kept in like a 20-mile radius kind of situation, which isn't too hard for those of you that don't shift to get there based on like your werewolf abilities. Even if your reflex is lower, you're still, better than a normal human being. But you make a beeline towards the actual to the tree line and are able to quickly make your way through the woods. You can, again, you're human, you're in the human form, but you can still smell things very well. You can smell your other pack members. They're a little far away. I think as you're walking through, and Nestor is behind you and very much has like hands tucked in his pockets and just keeping an eye out. A wolf kind of comes crashing through the trees, and then another one as well. And they're like kind of wrestling, kind of stop and look up at you and just and then like take off. You know that these are two of the younger wolves. They're like 12. They shifted earlier than you would expect. Like typically it's like 13 to 14. At least in their family, their family members have typically been 13 to 14 because they're kind of a long line of werewolves here. These two weren't bit, but they were on the earlier end, and I think this is their first time out and about at this point. So they're having a blast.
Okay. And so like when they crash through, and I look at Owen, right? Owen's the name of the bounty hunter.
Nestor. They
crash through. And I tell Nestor, whoa, Van Helsing, chill. It's just a tickle fight.
I have not done anything to... I have not done anything.
I was gonna say, I would also like to see, like, one, what his reaction is while he's getting, like if he has any tells, right? Ellie is pushing him a little bit. I want to see, like, does he react well to being pushed? And also, does he react well to the sort of surprise of them coming out? So I kind of, if there is a way of sort of reading intent, right? Like, is this someone who's going to be pretty trigger happy, or is this someone who's going to be?
Because I got my character has some like negative assumptions about this guy. I think so. It's like not even based on an actual reaction they had. I'm just like, yo, you need to calm down before they've even had a chance to like demonstrate if they're calm or not.
Go ahead and make me another instinct roll because perception and insight fall under the two, fall under that as well.
Gotcha.
All right, that's gonna be all you, Gary, because I don't perceive. I'm not even trying to perceive shit in character.
As a reminder, if you want to be able to roll 4 dice instead of the 2, you can tap into your wolf to heighten like your ears or your nose to really like smell like what's going on with that, or your eyes to perceive things. But that will come with a control roll, and if you fail that right now, you are out of the game for the remainder of the shift.
What?
So, folks, for those of you who don't know, there's 2 ways to lose this game. The first one is if you shift into your wolf form before the game ends, because you're not supposed to do that. You have to be on call, and it's the full moon, so you're like not gonna be able to come back. You're not a werewolf pack master. The pack master can definitely like go back and forth, right? The second way is, let's say you do all of the scenarios. At the end of the game, you total up the points for the ones that you succeeded on and the ones that you failed. And if the failed ones are more than the ones you succeeded on, you have also lost this shift. So if either of them wanted to tap into their wolf, they'd get to roll 4d6 instead of the 3d6, which you get with the helping hand, or 2d6. And then there would be a control roll, which you'd roll 2d6 plus your control, and then we'll see where that goes.
So I was looking right now because I remember reading something about criticals are double things, but it's only double ones and double sixes, not double fours don't matter. So 8 is what I got.
8 in total. So Nestor LaPierre has been very calm, cool, and collected, like very hard to read. And it's still very hard to read in this moment. But I think given the like hard to read aspect. Like you're not picking up on any hostility. Like you're just not able to tell really. But the fact that they are able to like keep whatever in check might give you some like clues even in that way that, oh yeah, this person's like very in control of themselves. At least I'm not picking up on anything one way or the other.
Okay, yeah, and that was Taya's really worry was right. He has the scar shown prominently, so he might be jumpy.
Not prominently shown because he had to pull down the turtleneck and then he put it back up. Like was very clearly just like yes,
yeah,
he showed it.
He was not like embarrassed or hiding it. It was
no, yeah.
Really part of his thing. Yeah.
And I think as the two like youngsters like roll like dash off into the woods, you see Nestor just kind of glance over at them and then back to the two of you. Shall we continue?
I feel like we're probably walking a little bit further ahead of Nestor, and kind of lean in towards Tia, and I go, so like what's the vibe check on this guy? Like what kind of a read are you getting on this guy? I can't really put my finger on him. He dresses like a Tim Burton character, but he looks like a like he's like from Duck Dynasty at the same time.
I don't know exactly what about him, but he can at least hold his cool if he chooses. I don't know his intentions, but at least he's not new.
Word.
So yeah, keep on the lookout.
So again, y'all are deeply familiar with these woods, the ins and outs, the shortcuts. You know where you're going. And I think if Nestor had just been wandering around in here somehow, would have been in here for hours and probably still wouldn't have found Charlie unless he got really, really lucky. But the two of you, knowing the woods, knowing Charlie's scent and or thinking where Charlie would be as well, and also picking up on the scent as you're walking, there are a couple of caves and outcroppings and stuff that are throughout the woods, and you know that so at this point when this happens, the full moon's been up for about 2 hours at this point, and so at this point Charlie would probably be taking a little bit of a rest before getting up and going to do anything. They might have at this point found are there deers in the forest? A deer or something to have eaten and taking a nap. That's one of the chasing game and stuff.
I'm so sorry. Did you just ask to make sure are there deer in the forest?
I know. I don't know why you said that out loud. I was like, wait a minute.
My dude said, wait. I've completely forgotten the existence of Bambi.
Yes. Charlie has eaten Bambi's dad, actually, as you kind of pull up to this cave. Yeah. You pull up to the cave that also has a small a decent not a huge lake, but clean up and drink the water and stuff. And again, you see Charlie's werewolf form, just kind of arms tucked down, laying at the front of the cave, eyes closed, and then one eye opens as y'all approach, kind of stands up and walks over and just kind of, how tall are the two of you?
So I think Eldrick or Ellie is taller than Thea. Thea's 5'4".
I'm gonna say that I'm 5'11", but I probably lie about it on my Tinder profile.
At least
probably, yeah, I give myself that 1 extra inch so that people don't just immediately just discard me.
Okay, then I think comes up to both of you. Ellie, you are too tall to get the face nudged right on the face, so instead you get kind of a little bump because Charlie's wolf is only 5 feet tall. Jesus Christ. Thea kind of nuzzles you under the chin. Very affectionate pack member. And then kind of turns and looks at Nestor and then turns back to the two of you and kind of gives you a raised eyebrow. Talking in werewolf form, also something more powerful or more experienced wolves can do. As you get older, you kind of develop additional things outside of the howling and stuff. And Charlie has been a wolf for about 7 years, but you typically hit that mark of ability after 15 years or so of being a wolf, so it's not super common for non pack masters or their second wolves to be able to do that, but can understand you.
Yeah, that was gonna ask. Yeah,
Can fully understand you. Like same faculties. A little bit more like on the like there's it's a combination of like the wolf and the human mind in there. So there's a little bit of like mixture in there, but can still very easily understand and everything.
So,
go ahead.
So Teo would be just very direct. You know, she'd kind of give the nuzzle back as well, and then say, Charlie, your past is knocking, and we need to resolve this in some way. This person is here for you. And we were thinking that if we're going along peacefully and being reasonable adults about this situation, then there doesn't have to be any fighting. We can make sure that things are handled well instead of trying to, kick, scream, just try to set up a bad situation. We know what was going on. We know, and he knows. And so we can just sort of make this process a little easier on everyone. And she's just trying to kind of like speak, not like take a lot of the emotion out of it, straight to her. Hey, like this is the most logical choice. It sucks, but if we can do it this way and we don't have to fight, it's going to look better for you in the long run. As kind of the way that Tia is kind of explaining it.
I think. Oh no, go ahead.
I also want to try to surmise something. This is less about like trying to get a read, like are they acting skittish or whatever. Kind of like when you analyze like all the facts here, it's like, is this the kind of behavior that I would think is typical of somebody who, because the issue here, it's not just that she transformed, it's that they think that she committed a crime, right?
Yes, and you know that she did in fact commit a crime. Like, so this happened about 5 years ago, so it would have been 2021. Right. Magical creatures and supernaturals have been out since 2015, right. And there are a variety of acts that govern you guys on top of like your standard laws and whatnot.
But I mean, like right now, like I know that we all know that she committed a crime like back then, but I'm saying like right now, we just got set out to like get on call and grab her, right? That's what we're like looking for her specifically.
Yes, mm-hmm. Yes.
So what I'm trying to see is, does her current behavior line up with what you would typically associate with somebody who has in the recent past committed some kind of crime?
So I think as like all of this is being explained to her, like there's like kind of whimpering in there, like a kind of like head shake. I think without the instinct roll, having been a part of the pack for like at least the last couple of years. I don't know how long you guys want to say you've been here, but I'll say it's been at least 2 years. Like y'all tend to know each other well. This is very much like fear, and like you get the impression that like she's not trying to hide or deny that she did this, but she is afraid of what might happen because she had to do this.
Okay. Yeah, because I was going to try to do like an intelligence roll to see if I could like like when you watch those JCS criminal psychology videos on YouTube, and they're like, this is not the typical behavior of a person who actually cares that they murdered somebody in cold blood, like that kind of thing. So that's what I was trying to see if I could piece together in my head. But
if you want to make an intelligence roll to get some more information about like some deeper things, please feel free to do so.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was going for, is right. I just want to be like, hey, I just want to reason with you of being like, we know we have to deal with this. This is the least shit way to have to deal with this. So that was going to be the goal, is to kind of be like, hey, let's try to logic reason our way through this.
Okay.
I have a 10 total.
Okay, 10 total. Yeah, okay, so that, again, because Charlie's stuff is 8 and 8, that also beats Charlie's mental score. So with a 10 total, so like I said, you get that general stuff to top it off with. I think also like just kind of like really, like you said, that like kind of clinical psychologist, like watching all of these things and whatnot. There is also very much a like, I think there's the smallest element of like, you can like how she's reacting and stuff of like, wanting, on the verge of deciding, actually, I think it would be better just to kill this guy. And very much in the sense of like, she knows So like I mentioned, there's a bunch of acts that govern you guys as supernatural entities. And there can be harsher punishments when you use your supernatural abilities, like wolf form, to harm. So like when you do other crimes, there's like an enhancement depending on what exactly happened.
Like murder with a gun versus murder with like a...
Exactly.
Not a gun.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So her shifting, killing, and then eating parts of her partner, given the shift and whatnot, is very much going to turn this into an enhanced crime, unless she's completely like found not guilty for the situation, which is a possibility. It's also a possibility that it's not. So there's very much that like you can feel that element of like is like feels like is scared about what happened in the past, isn't like somebody who's like, nah, I don't care that I did this, but in this moment is very much like you can see like the body movement, the like that very much is on the verge of like, let's kill this, I'm gonna kill this guy and then I'm gonna run. Like there's like a kind of thing happening. And you also rolled intelligence, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And what were you looking for with that intelligence roll?
Basically what I was trying to do is trying to explain to her, like, let's reason this through. Let's logically, let's go through the process. But it sucks and you have to deal with it. Yeah, we could just kill him and move on. But I think it's going to be better in the long run. And yeah, she's just saying this right in front of the guy. It's like, it would be better in the long run if he is used to dealing with packs that don't react well. If we can show that we can work together, then there's a reason not to eat you, a reason for us not to eat him and move on. And we might be able to make the best of a shit situation. And so that's kind of what she's doing. It's like, hey, it's bad, but if we're all on the same page, it's the least bad option.
I think as you're kind of saying this out loud, Nestor, like very slowly, very calmly takes off the like jacket, and now you can see like the holster and the two like guns at the hip that hasn't touched. Like takes off the jacket, sets it down, and then just kind of keeps his hands like kind of up here. That it's very clear he's not planning to escalate the situation, but also he's not unarmed, given the situation. But doesn't say anything to you saying, hey, we could eat him, we cannot eat him, no. What did you get on that intelligence roll?
11.
Okay.
And kind of, again, the thing of just saying this is basically pitching it as like, this is an option we could take. We're not going to take it because it's not the smart option. Where it's like, she could say that a lot nicer, but she's not actually being like aggressive towards him. It's just like, he is aware that this is an option that could happen as well, but we're acknowledging that and saying, no, we're not.
I think she looks between the two of you, then looks at Nestor, and then looks back at the two of you, and then again, like kind of just staring at Nestor, trying to like really figure out what she's about to do in this moment. And I think as that's happening, Nestor's just like,
I don't like you posing like an Abercrombie and Bitch model, all right? You put that 6-pack away.
It's not even visible through my shirt.
I look and then like, how tight is that shirt?
It's a turtleneck, but it's not like one of those like hugging onto you kind of turtlenecks. It's a relatively loose one on the stomach.
It's like that knit knit fabric, like the thick. Okay. I go,
but I do have one, so.
And I squint when he says that, and I go, I bet you fucking do.
And then turns back to Charlie, who has still been staring at him this whole time. Charlie, I would love if you believed me when I said I wish that I wasn't here for you. I personally think what happened between you and your partner, they got what they deserved. If from the information that I have read and the evidence that is presented, but just like if this situation was between two humans, there would be an investigation and a trial. The same must happen for you. And I personally picked this because I am better than some of the other contractors. And I thought having a cool-headed presence would make this go easier and you would not be harmed. I promise to treat you with great care and put in a good word for how you came in quietly for whatever it helps. And I think as he says that, oh, go ahead.
And I look over and I say, and I'll get you donut holes if you come.
Like there's like it's like an approximation of a chuckle from a wolf's mouth. It's a strange sound, but you know what it is. And I think kind of turns to you when you say that, and again looks back. Okay, so I need one of you. Is still like is almost completely there. In like, hey, I totally agree with this. I will do this. I need one of you to either make me a intelligence roll if you're using like kind of reasoning it out again, or a charisma roll if you're trying to be persuasive, and you will have the helping hand from Nestor's conversation.
I think that I think Gary, I think your approach was a lot more thorough. And since we both have pretty high intelligence, I'd like to give it to you, and I'd like to just say that I give them a helping hand. So you can roll 3d6.
Okay, so hey folks, we have an excellent example of what's happening here. So one of them was going to get a helping hand from the NPC, and Nico, you have also given a helping hand. However, those do not stack. Advantage, when you have one, it's just one. As of right now, at least, they don't stack. Could that be changed in another rendition of this game? Sure, but they don't stack at this point. So you get 1d6 from two different places, so it doesn't matter which one you pick, but you are getting help.
I'll pick the hunter's d6.
Okay, now folks. Each scenario has a number of checks they need to succeed in their various options. This is like the second check to figure out what's going on here. Now, if this fails, this might turn into a fight. Tell me what you got. You need to meet or beat an 8.
And we're going for, this is intelligence, yes?
Or charisma. I'm assuming you're going to pick intelligence for reasoning it out, but either one would work in this scenario.
So 10 is what I got.
Okay, what is the kind of, like, you can see Charlie looking back to the two of you to like, for some, like, more, like, comfort, like, very clearly she has found this, like, straightforward thing kind of comforting, like, laying out all the facts and whatnot, and she's looking for that one last bit of reassurance before she, like, just kind of hands herself over to Nestor. So what are you saying in that moment?
I believe this is the right choice, and I will put my money where my mouth is. Maybe I don't give donut holes, but if they don't treat you well, they don't get to leave the woods. You leave the woods because they seem to be on the level, and I'll be right there with you. So just kind of be that, hey, this is the logical choice, but if there is something weird going on, like, yeah, we're just gonna murder this guy and carry along. But I think that this is the right choice. And I will put myself into potential harm's way to make sure that we're all kind of on the same page.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I think with that, again, kind of comes over to you, nuzzles you, goes over to Ellie and nuzzles, and then trots into the cave. And Nestor, who is also able to perceive that this is going to go well, but isn't quite sure what's happening in the cave. Like maybe about 5 minutes later. I think with your heightened ears has gone deep enough into the cave that Nestor isn't able to hear it, but with your heightened hearing, you can hear kind of like whimpers and a little bit of groaning, as you can clearly tell that Charlie is like forcing herself to shift back. So Charlie is on the like stronger end of the like wolves in this pack. Doesn't really do anything with it. Doesn't want to be like a right or left hand of the pack master. Very much just like, hey, I found my people, I found my family, I just want to be here, and if they need my strength they can have it, but like I don't want to do anything else. So can shift, but it is not like this kind of fluid kind of thing that the pack master can do with very little pain and whatnot, and it does take like forcing yourself into it, and then kind of, oh yeah, go ahead.
I as I hear the bones, cracking and stuff of them shifting back from their werewolf form to their human form, I'm gonna take off my windbreaker, which it's like a size or two too big because of swag, and I like take my oversized windbreaker off, and I kind of like walk to the edge of the cave, and I respectfully look away, and I hold my windbreaker out to give her something to put on when she's in her human form.
Yeah. And I do want to note the kind of like the really painful part about this is when you're trying to do it during a full moon. Like it's still not super comfortable when you're like when you're shifting back and forth outside of that, which some people can do it. Will sometimes heightened emotions do it. But like the full moon being out, it's like every cell in your body, once you shift, is like, hey, you should not be changing back. You need to stay in this form. And so like the two of you can hear like the hesitant footsteps, kind of the painful groans, and then kind of just a hand comes out of the shadows, grabs it. You put it. She puts it on, and then she kind of staggers out. I think at that point, Nestor also hands her like his jacket if she wants to tie it around her waist. And both of you can hear, are your clothes nearby? Do you wish to, I can go get them and you can stay with your companions until I return. And just in a very like this kind of quiet voice that Charlie has. I don't know if you'd be able to find it, and turns to like the two of you. There's a very specific spot where all of you kind of congregate and shift at. And it is also, she says she doesn't know if you'd be able to find it, but there's also the element of like, hey, we want as few people to know where we all, strip down and go do our thing. And so turns to like one of you with a very clear look of, will one of you go get it?
So Teo would look over towards Ellie and be like, I've given my word that I'm going to be with her, so I think I'd prefer to stay here. But if you'll take over, I don't mind going and getting either. It's up to you.
So realizing that they actually just have clothes elsewhere, I just put my windbreaker back on and go, oh yeah, for sure. And
we need to go get the clothes.
Yeah, she doesn't have clothes right here. So she does need the windbreaker.
I said clothes elsewhere. Oh, okay. I thought they were gonna wait while I go in and grab the clothes and then come back with the clothes.
Yes, no, somebody needs to go get the clothes, but if you take the windbreaker, she doesn't have anything like
yeah. So then I let her keep the windbreaker, and I say, don't even worry about it. I got you. And I point at Taya, and I'm like, Taya, and I flex. And I know if Taya knows what's up in my heart. But does Taya actually know what's up?
She just rolls her eyes. She doesn't care what's up.
And I'm like,
oh, Taya.
She knows what's up. And then I just like walk off into the forest. And then I like a couple seconds later, like I come back, I go, I'm sorry, I don't even know why I walked in that direction. I have no idea where your clothes are. Could you just point me generally?
And just gives you a look of like, what? And then points off in the direction of where you should be running off to.
For sure. Totally different direction. Totally different. Got you. And then I walk in the direction they pointed.
You head off in that direction. Again, you're a werewolf, so even your base walking speed can be faster than your standard human. So it doesn't take you particularly long to get there and get back. It is still 30 minutes, but it would be much longer for like a non-enhanced individual, either through magic or, abilities. Taya, so there's about 30 minutes here before Ellie returns. And I think, how knowledgeable do you think you are about DMEO agents and contractor procedures when it comes to apprehending magical entities?
So Taya's been with the pack for about 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of has a base level, like a clinical understanding of the rules, but she's not really, I'm thinking she doesn't really she doesn't have a lot of experience with it, right? So maybe she's read the rules, being able to kind of know what the checklist of do's and don'ts and what some of the pitfalls are would be interesting to her. But I think that a lot of her knowledge would be very dry. It would be very like, oh, well, the book says blank, but not a lot of like actual experience with the individuals or with the rules.
Gotcha. Yeah. So then I think outside of having gotten like all the information on like the laws and acts and stuff, you probably would have been able, and it's not even hard to get this information on like the bounty hunter like training manual. And the reasons why it's not super hard is because to actually get the licensure, the paperwork and all that, you do actually have to go through you still have to go through that entire book. You're tested, etc. There's other training involved in it as well. So it's like, yeah, it's okay. No, it doesn't matter if they read this. They're not getting any trade secrets, right? And one of the things that has to happen with like enhanced individual when it comes to strength and whatnot, they kind of get these magically made like cuffs, think the full length like body cuffs, hands, feet, the whole chain and whatnot. Nestor very clearly doesn't have that on him. And he however he got here, car, whatever, probably a car, might have it in there, but is very clearly not following protocol, at least for this particular instance. And given his words and whatnot, you get the feeling it's very much like, hey, he thought this was going to be easy enough because of who he thinks Charlie is, and doesn't want to put her through any unnecessary like restraints or whatnot, and just kind of like motions over to a stump and it's like, do you want to sit? I and then just kind of falls quiet and like turns around, very much like he can't leave out of her presence now that she's in his custody, but he is turning, and like if there was any private moments the two of you want to have, he's giving you as much privacy as he legally can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Teo would have anything between her and Charlie, like on a more personal level, like because you said that Charlie had been with the pack for like 5-ish years.
Mm-hmm. It's been 5 years with Charlie.
I feel like we're, and the vibe that I get is that we're very different people, but we joined at about the same time. So we have a lot of that sort of shared experience and shared background, but we're not like coffee buds. So, she would kind of go back into the thing of like, hey, the pack's been really good to us. They've treated us well as newcomers. And, they talk about our responsibility and all this sort of stuff. And, this is one of the shitty responsibilities. This is one of the things that I'm sorry you're having to go through, but hopefully if this all goes some version of smoothly, then this is going to be how it's going to be with the pack. Maybe next time there's a problem and it's, a weird one or something, we get someone who understands, kind of like, and gesture towards this guy and be like, we get someone who will understand first, and maybe they have experience of working with us and show that we can cooperate in things like this. And in instances where it looks like we can play everything above board, we can do that so that we'll have some goodwill for when somebody gets some misunderstanding and needs to be eaten.
I think they're nodding their head along to that, not saying anything. Very clearly can see like the tears welling in her eyes, but is not a very physically affectionate person outside of the wolf form. Like it's just feels something different. So it's very much just sitting and like hands wrapped around, but does lean in a little bit closer, like liking the proximity and whatnot, but doesn't say anything. And I think Ellie, you eventually return. Hand over her clothes. She goes back into the cave, changes, and then comes out. And Nestor, like, is kind of, while I have a flight out for tomorrow, it can be pushed, or so that you might have some time with your pack members when everybody is back to being themselves for the day before we leave, and of course to take some of your items as well. Thea, you would know as well, like the kind of way that they handle housing supernatural entities, especially because like as part of the like, there was a lot of back and forth on like how this would work and whatnot. The prisons and stuff that supernatural entities wind up in is very much more like, some of like the Swedish models of what prison looks like at least the accommodations, than like the standard you get for humans, partially
like it's
because
like a little
of
bougie.
Yeah. One of the reasons why is because like, hey, we're supernatural creatures, don't fuck with our people, okay? There will be problems here. You're putting additional governance on us. We expect like additional like this, like, hey, don't. So her being able to get things is not unsurprising, especially given how like calm and cool and collected this was. If a fight had happened, that probably wouldn't be happening right now, but it's a generally accepted thing. And she just kind of nods, and Nestor looks back at the two of you very much like, are you coming with us, or but because they are heading out of the woods at this point.
Of course we're heading with. Ellie owes her donut holes. It's just like, obviously.
Now,
like- Promise is a promise.
am I included in those donut holes, or am I just out of curiosity?
And I like look over and I go, do you really got a 6-pack?
Kind of lifts up the shirt. Has a six-pack.
Damn! All right, honestly, I was just gonna take your word for it. I was just trying to funnily segue in. I was gonna get you donut holes anyway, man. But now I just feel a little bit bad about my body. And then I lift it up, and I've only got a 4-pack. You know, like I haven't quite gotten there on that last bottom row. And I'm like, sorry. Just to be clear, I was not trying to hit on you. I mean, like, which totally cool. If I was, right, I'm sure, right?
Yes.
But like,
very...
I should have been clear. I've just really been working towards some goals lately. And you have that kind of body, like the chin, I could just tell you got like a low BMI, you know?
And while you are an obviously, well put together man, just understand that Ellie will offer all kinds of people their holes.
And Ellie cracks up at that. And like looks at Thea and is just like, and like holds up a hand for a dap. Yeah.
And with that, the 4 of you head out of the woods. Donut holes are procured. Charlie is escorted to her home to gather some things, as well as like spending like one last night in there. Nestor is only legally required to be in the vicinity. So asks like, hey, is essentially asking like, is there a guest bedroom or a couch you would be comfortable with me staying on to fulfill my legal requirements? I'm assuming you're not going to run. And Charlie's just like, there's a guest bedroom. And so the that call kind of comes to an end for this night, right as you get a phone call. So there are burner phones for like, because at this point, the werewolf pack is, everybody in West Yellowstone knows there's werewolves. This pack has been here since prior to West Yellowstone being actually settled, and even like prior to like everybody coming out of the supernatural closet, as it were. You couldn't really hide completely werewolves in a town, so like it was an open secret. But like the cell phone rings, and I think you hear a familiar. Well, actually, you can tell me. Do you think you'd be familiar with one of the human teenagers that babysits the 3 triplet? Like 2 of your pack members have triplet kids, and whenever they like go on shift or they have to do their shift or they go running, they leave the kids with Bryce. Do you think that is somebody you know, or?
I think I do like one of those like big brothers, big sisters, like kind of things at the rec center with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so like when I see like the little kids, I'm like, yo, what's up? Squat up. And I'm like doing little daps with them and stuff.
Then yeah, I think you prefer. Go ahead.
I think Taya wouldn't, so I think Ellie would be the one getting the call.
Yeah, Ellie, you pick up the phone. Hi, I need help. They're crawling on the wall, and they lifted up like the marble table, and I need a lot of help right now. No, don't go up this thing. And then like the phone hangs up.
Yo, we gotta help them out.
Helping who?
So that was actually the parents of what? That was the parent, correct?
Babysitter.
No, that
right?
was the babysitter, Bryce.
Yeah.
Who you would, given what you do, you would know Bryce.
Yeah. All right, so I'm like, so that was my boy, B Rice, and they're not doing very well emotionally in the sense of they're losing their shit due to the fact that there are children crawling on walls. I'm gonna guess shifting. I don't know what you're doing tonight, Taya. This isn't a date. Don't worry, it's not a date. I swear, it's not a date unless you want it to be, but it's not. But anyway, I think I've got to go help them. You coming?
Of course.
But it's not a date. Don't worry. And then like.
The two of you quickly, I'm assuming, make your way across town. As you approach the home, crashes and loud shouts of frustration echo from the Anissa's two-story stone and wood-paneled home. The door swings open as you approach, and Bryce stands in front of you, completely worn out. I don't know why this happened, but they've got like claws and are climbing up the wall and are really fast, and I've been lucky they haven't broken out of the house. She steps back into the house to reveal the carnage. Tables overturned, lamps broken, scratch marks on the wall. And kind of like in front of you, Bryce is like 5'5", white teenager, slightly tan skin, light brown hair and a messy bun. And she's got on a blue tank top and purple shorts.
And I'm like, yo, Bryce. And then I hold up this little box, like about like this big of like thin cardboard. And I'm just like, yo, have some donut holes. Get out of here.
No, I
While Ellie does that, Taya is just going to completely ignore her and just walk into the house. Bryce is
uses any pronouns.
Okay.
You say take some donuts. I just need you to help me get them under control. I'm responsible for them until their parents come home. That's my job. I just need your help. I can't go home. But it's very clearly like freaked out. So y'all know that these toddlers are like 4 at the most, and that is so ridiculously early to be showing like to either be shifting or showing any like additional abilities, right? Because sometimes you can have like the claws will grow, but you won't actually fully shift, or you'll get the strength, but like more so than your like natural body will have if you're like in a line of werewolves, right? But you have never heard of this happening with 4-year-olds.
Okay,
ever.
I go, man, this there must be something in the water. All right, I hear you. Here, take these donut holes, sit on the couch, and watch some reruns of The Nanny. Let Fran Drescher take care of everything. We got this in the meantime.
And as you head in behind there, it's like, how old are you? The Nanny?
And I'm like, reruns are look, it's on Peacock, I think. All right, just watch it. Trust me. All right, my mom used to make me watch the show with her, and it was a good time. Just
don't do something with those kids. I'm cutting away
from inside. Of course, the peacock knows peacock. And then it's like looking for the kids.
And then like like right before the camera cuts away from me, I just kind of look over my shoulder and I go, she thinks I'm a peacock.
Cutting away from that and inside of the house, you've walked in. You can hear these two arguing outside right now. It is getting a little bit louder as Bryce is getting more frustrated with the situation. But yeah, like I said, you walk in, you see all of the carnage, and I think so. Like I said, 2-story home. Like you got to walk into the foyer. The stairs are in front of you. Off to the side is the living room. Off to the other side is like a nice dining room, and you can like go down past the stairs, still on the first floor, which will lead into the kitchen and stuff. If you've been here before, that's up to you. Like very much like your pack consists of a variety of people across like various like identities, socioeconomic, that whole 9 yards, and the Anissa's home is one of the nicer ones in here. And they also like are very open to bringing pack members into the house, dinners, game times. Like they love their family essentially, which is very much how like a lot of packs of like members of your pack feel like your pack is. So if you've been here before, that is up to you. Do you think you've been here before?
I think so, but I think it was not necessarily kid related. It was more like, Taya believes like, yes, being a parent is good and cool and all that sort of stuff, but you also need to be a person as well. So like maybe would have been someone who came for like a board game night or something, right?
Yeah.
Like mentally active activity that it's like, yeah, we come here, but the reason that we're having board game night at this house instead of like at a bar or somewhere else is because they're a parent and they can actually have board game night if we do it at their place because they've got triplets and they need a break.
Yeah, and they also, whenever they do this kind of stuff, they do hire Bryce or somebody else available to keep an eye on the kids while the adults are having a good time. So then you've seen these kids before. So Nadir, Najee, and Deem, they're like 3 feet tall this time. They've got like olive skin, short black hair, and brown eyes with like flecks of green in them. And I think as you're like walking through, yes.
Sorry, before we proceed forward with like the scene, Can I trouble you to just momentarily in our Discord chat write their 3 names?
Oh yeah. I can totally do that for you. Yeah, I was
either going to ask that, or if you're reading from the PDF, if you tell us the page number, that could also be handy if you're gonna.
I'm trying to avoid reading the PDF. I don't want to give stuff away to myself, you know.
But yeah, here are their
I'm the
names and
kind of
descriptions.
I'll read ahead, and I'll tell my eye, like, the only way to stop myself is to not scroll down, you know. But that's just me.
Yeah,
I'm feisty, you know, tricksy.
I'm used to playtesting adventures and keeping that separate knowledge, so I'm taking separate like adventure notes as well as we're going along. So I am actually reading along the PDF.
And that's a gift that you have that God did not bestow upon me.
But yes, so you've seen the 3 of them before. Do you think Ellie's been here before?
No, I think that, you know, Taya's probably like a bit older than Ellie, like by a few years, you know, like maybe 4 or 5 years. So, which is also probably one of the part of the mystique for Ellie and why they keep on like trying to mac on Tia. But Tia's like old enough to be invited to board game nights and be friends with the parents. Right, but I'm at like an in-between age where like, yeah, I do like all that, you know, big brother big sister stuff at like the rec center kind of thing, but so I'm too young to be like personally friends with parents like that, like the parents like that at their age range, but I'm also like old enough that it's like weird for me to be going to these kids' houses, you know what I mean? Like that would be like just weird. So it's just kind of like, all right, kids, have fun with your parents and catch you later, and then I go live my whatever my life is.
And your pack is like a sizable pack. Like, I don't know the number. It's a sizable pack. So there are people like across the varying age groups. So you've got like pack member peers, and of course there's people that are your age that generally live in the town. So like,
and like I know the kids. Like I work with the kids and stuff like that. I just like it was just there's no reason for me to be like going to their houses.
But then, yeah, you've also seen the kids. But Thea, you are in there first as shenaniganeries are happening outside. And I think you can hear, like, the crawling, the scratching up the wall, and, like, something crashing upstairs. But I think the first kid that you see is out of the corner of your eye over by the dining room, like, something going really fast, crawling through, like, underneath the table. Wait, you're on mute.
Sorry. She is very confident in her strength, and the idea that like these kids are really going to pose any sort of difficulty is like, even if that's not necessarily the most tactical way to get a hold of the kids, she is just going to be like, grab, relax, hang on. Like she's just very direct and forceful. So even if it could be this sort of cat and mouse thing, that's not how she's going to do things. She might just sort of like butt aside the table and be like, chill.
Okay, so here's what I'm gonna need 2 rolls from you, right? The first one is gonna be a reflex roll to try and catch this kid because they are moving kind of fast. However, they're a toddler, so the DC for that is 3. And then I'm gonna ask you for a strength roll because the kid is gonna try and wiggle out of your like grasp, assuming you catch them.
If I can catch them, which is the real question here. All right, let's see. No. That's a 2.
Okay, so wait, you're like moving up the table to grab one of these kids. And as you do so, and you go to grab, and it's just like kind of turns up, looks at you, and like recognizes you, but it's just like thinks it's a game, and it's like it just speeds off. Like and this dining room connects into another kind of formal sitting room area versus the other one's like very much like, hey, come, like, you know, this is the lounging, like everybody can come sit big room. So that kid darts off, cutting away from you. Ellie, you walk in. You walk in and you kind of can turn and look to the side and see Thea just kind of like was holding the table, and it's just and you can hear like scratches and like again something falling over upstairs and like giggles.
You have squad, and it's just like some goofy little thing I do with the kids, like so like it's the kind of thing where I'm like squad, and then like the kids will sometimes answer back like squad.
Make a charisma roll with me, but I'll give you helping hand because you've established, hey, I do this big brother thing with the kids.
Okay.
As you're doing that, hey GMs, that is not actually baked into the game, right? Like, or well, it's not written in it right now. It will go in it, but when you play this, and if it's getting added in there, just again, it's a narrative game. So if your players like establish something beforehand, or if they do something, they're like, hey, take the helping hand, like I did with Nestor in the thing as well, right? What did you get?
Total of 11.
Okay, that's perfect. So that roll would have been for the mental roll because, persuasion and whatnot. And that is a 6 instead of a 3 because these kids can be a little ornery and it's harder to like calm them down and stuff. And you hear all three of them like, squad, 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 in their like little kid voices. Do you think they say your name correctly? Or is like
they
a
would
little
call me,
kid?
I think they'd call me let's see. I'll let you decide based on the fact that you're playing them, if they would just call me like Ellie, or if it's like we play like basketball and stuff, like Coach Ellie.
I think it's just going to be Ellie because they're a little on the young side for properly playing basketball. And I think I think you hear someone say Ellie, and coming like on the ceiling with the claws out, like with like feet, hands and feet. Ellie!
And then I just turn my hand upside down, like, hey! Like I'm holding my hand out because I was expecting them to come from like down below, right? And then I see them up top, and I'm like, hey! But I'm like, my face does not hide the fact that I'm like, what's up, in a very literal way.
One hand releases one hand out of the like wall and stuff to like, because you're tall and can like, hi.
Yeah, my dude and Deuterinos. What are they all 3 boys, or is it a mixture?
So Nadir and Nadim are boys, Najee is a girl.
Okay.
And I think and you've been around them enough, but also they have like for like when other people are there, they get like their name stitched on it, and you can see this is Najee.
Yeah. So I'm like, what is up, my little Deuteroonies?
I can do this now.
That's very cool. Very cool. My homie
Bryce
and I can
didn't
do
think
that
it was
as
cool.
well. I know. Here's the thing. Have you ever drawn a picture and you thought like it's a really cool drawing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have you ever seen someone stab it with a pencil?
No.
That sounds like it's a kind of a bummer, right? So even though you don't see drawings on here, your parents worked real hard to get these like ceilings and walls to be like really pretty, and accidentally, it's not on purpose. You didn't do anything wrong. You just didn't know. Right? Every time you stab your nails in there, you make little holes in their sort of special drawing.
I'm ruining mommy and daddy's drawing?
Hey, you're not ruining anything. They can fix it, but let's not make it harder to fix than it needs to be. Why don't you come on down here? We'll get some. You want some donut holes?
Mm-hmm.
Let's get some donut holes. I'll get you the blueberry kind. You like the blueberry kind, right?
Mm-hmm.
For sure. And then I like hold my hands out so she can like grab my hands and kind of like.
Yeah. Like we'll let the hands go and like grab your hands and let the feet go. And because like you're high enough up and like she grabbed onto you, I'm not gonna make you make a roll to grab her. And then I think immediately she kind of wraps her arms around your neck and is still kind of sniffling at the fact that she messed up her mom and dad's painting.
And I'm like,
her drawing.
Hey, little Deuteroony, it's okay. Squad. And then
she
like
sees this and like sees this thing's going on, and she'll like open up her phone, go to DoorDash, and like go to the donut shop. She's like donuts, and she's just gonna open up that thing and hand her phone to Ellie and just be like, we're not gonna be able to actually catch them. So sugar, give them sugar. And she's
and I like, and then like with one hand like hugging them, and the other hand just like ordering from the donuts for the donut shop, you know. And I'm like passing you. I'm like, remind me to Venmo you later.
Okay, one kid captured, two left. So one of them has like gone off into the like proper sitting room, and another one is upstairs. And then you hear kind of like it sounds like something was picked up and then dropped, like something heavy was picked and then dropped, and then another. You can pick up things.
And I look down at Naji, and I'm like, hey, so that lesson you just learned, we got to help your brothers learn it too. You want to come with us and help us find your brothers?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's rock and roll. Let's rock and roll. Squad, squad, squad. And I like look at her.
Squad, squad.
Squad, squad, squad. Let's go. And then I let Tia lead the way.
Okay, just to be clear here, Tia, are you headed upstairs and not bothering with trying to catch the other little kid that's downstairs right now?
What? No, I went back. I'm gonna assume that I went into the kitchen, right? Because I went into the kitchen to find the first one. I popped out of the kitchen to give him my phone, give Allie my phone, and then went back into the kitchen for some food. Not for me, okay. for the children, right? Like
okay.
Right.
I was like, perfect time to get a snack. Yeah, okay. So you're back in the kitchen. So I think it's Ellie and Najee heading up the stairs at this point. Thea, what? Okay, so you go in the kitchen, you open up the fridge. This is one of those like.
I'm specifically, I'm going to start hunting for like brightly colored plates, right?
Ooh, yeah.
She doesn't know exactly what the kids will want. Mm-hmm. But she's like, oh, there's got to be like a favorite cup, a favorite plate. I don't know what any of these things are because I don't know the kids. So she's just going to grab all of them and like put them on the counter, like probably make a little bit of a mess. But she's just like, the kids are going to have some sort of favorite that they're going to care about. I don't know what it's going to be. But she's just kind of grabbing out all of the kid-friendly utensils and stuff to be like, okay, they're going to care about one of these for their donut holes.
Probably correct. You kind of go throughout the kitchen and stuff, and you pull out all the colorful light cups that very clearly look like the kids are using them, given the size and like the grip around it and stuff, and then they should be able to hold it. And you pull out like a dozen plates, a dozen cups, and it's like, they'll like one of these. And I think as that's happening, you like hear like nails on the tile, and then it's kind of like just scratching, and you kind of look off to the side and you see one of the boys just like sitting on his butt and just scratching at the tile. This makes a cool sound.
And she's going to kind of be like, it does? Can we make a pattern? Can we make a song? And she's gonna do the same thing. She's gonna like sit down and like tap on the floor and kind of get the kid to basically just trying to get the kid to come to her. She doesn't know any kids songs, but she's just going to kind of do simple things to go back and forth because she's not good with kids, but she can, empathize with another human.
Okay. I need you to make me a charisma roll.
Oh no.
It's a 3. Hey folks, this might go really bad.
Is this where we're gonna learn today?
Sorry, did you say it's a 3?
Yeah. Oh wait, no, sorry, it's a 6. Jesus, that was for physical stuff. I'm so sorry. It's a 6.
Oh, it's a 6. Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah, if it was a 3,
okay. Here's a question. Do you want to tap into your wolf?
Yes. She would consider this to be worthwhile.
Okay, roll.
And that makes sense with what she's doing, right? She wants to get the little like longer nails to play with the kid.
Exactly.
So I get an extra 2d6, and then I get to pick the highest of the 4.
Yes, the highest. Pick the 2 highest of the 4. Correct.
Okay. So that is 9 minus 2, so 7. 7.
Okay, excellent. All right, so, hey folks. We've got somebody who has tapped into the wolf. So let's talk about this real quick. In the event you feel your roll is too low for the given task, you can tap into your wolf. Like tap into your more powerful werewolf abilities, shifting a part of yourself to give you an edge in the situation. When you do this, you roll 46 and choose the 2 highest rolls. This cannot be stacked with help from another player, as of yet. Consequences. Tapping into your wolf during the full moon cycle has consequences. It becomes harder to control yourself and not shift. Each time you tap into your wolf, you must make a control roll. Each time you tap into your wolf, you take a -1 penalty to the control roll. This penalty stacks. So I would also, okay, so I'm gonna ask you to make your control roll with a -1 to it. The DC starts off low. It's an easy DC, and then it'll jump into the medium category, and then into the hard category. So it's easy as of right now. So it's 2d6 plus your control minus the one penalty. So I think it should be 2d6 plus 1 for you.
So this is taking a step back from the game, putting on mechanics hat for a second.
Yeah,
so
no worries.
The more that you tap into your wolf, the difficulty increases and there's a penalty, so it's sort of like double dipping.
Yeah, it is so much harder to like really fully show like, hey, your body wants to be doing this thing right now. Like you don't have to shift, but if you keep, it gets worse and worse.
Okay. I rolled 2 6s, so
okay, you're good. Yeah, you're good. I think so I'm gonna ask you to describe your nails getting longer and what that kind of looks like. But as it's happening, you can feel that pull from the moon as you're elongating your nails to what they would be closer to when you're actually in your full werewolf form. You can feel it trying to wash over you, like your body's like humming with this magical energy. It's just like go fully, go all the way, please, please. And like not an actual voice saying this, obviously, but that's like the feeling it's giving. But you manage to maintain it. So like, how long are your nails getting? What are we looking at here?
So I have 2 questions. First question is, does the fact that it's 2 6s matter? Or is that only for
Oh wait, that's right. It's 2 6s. That is a critical success. Okay. So typically what is supposed to like happen with this particular scenario is at another point in this, I'd be like, hey, make me one more roll around this, because they're toddlers, right? They might get a little bit ornery again, but because you have critically succeeded, you get 2 successes, and this kid who, looking at it at his shirt, this is Nadim, is just down for the count. He's been calmed down, like you're in control. He's not going to try and run out of the house. Like he's chill. So you have fully succeeded the like 2-check scenario for this kid.
Okay. So the answer to your other question is, so Taya has like, she's very particular about certain things, and like her nails would be one of the things that would kind of bug her on the shift of things. So I think like when she shifts, she doesn't like to go through like swamps or muddy areas. Like doesn't even really like shifting if it's raining a lot. So her nails are probably going to be pretty manicured is too strong of a word, but as manicured as nails are ever going to get for a wolf. So she's, and not like she's trying to make them pretty. She just wants them to be like clean and well groomed. And she has sort of like delicate looking claws. So yeah, and I guess that plays into her being hyper control of being able to like, no, this is something I can focus on and be really good at, to just do the claws on the tile.
And as you're kind of like doing these simple sounds with Nadim, it's just, this sounds cool. And you're also watching as the tile is getting like damaged with each pass of the nails. But hey, you know, kids. So Nadim is fully chill at this moment. Going upstairs with Ellie. I think that Najee, who was wrapped up around you like this, has kind of squirmed out of your grip and is like now wrapped around your neck. Is like on your back. You hear things being lifted and set down again. You go into the master bedroom and you go into the bathroom and you see Nadir, who is just kind of has grabbed the toilet and is lifting it up and down.
That, I do want to like acknowledge Nadim, because I probably know. Wait, sorry, Nadir. That's who we just got, right?
Oh wait, Thea got Nadim. Nadir is still on the loose.
Okay, so we got Najee. I got Najee. We got Nadim, and now the one we're going for is Nadir. Okay, so I when you kind of bring Nadim in and stuff, and I'm like, hey, what's up, little bro? Because I recognize him, so I'm like, I with my other hand, I go ahead and let him hold the other hand. I go, yo, you got those little plates? Hey, do me a favor. Where's your chocolate milk? And I'm like, well, actually, I asked that. What did they say back?
It's in the fridge on the top shelf. We can't reach it.
I go, first of all, I'm going to help you out. Second of all, you know why I'm getting some chocolate milk ready for you? And then I look over at Naji and I'm like, why don't you tell Nadim what's on the way over here?
We're getting donut holes.
And you know what you love to dip donut holes in?
Chocolate milk.
Let's go.
Did you get me strawberry ones?
Yeah, Avi.
Okay.
Avi. Because I knew that she loved the blueberry ones, so there's no way I didn't know the other kid liked the strawberry ones.
Yeah, and you know that Nadir loves chocolate ones.
For sure. So I say, why don't you do me a favor? Because I know that little kids also love to like help each other and like they love to feel like they're given important tasks and stuff. So I say, I'm gonna let you. How old are they? Did you say?
4.
I'm not gonna let them make the chocolate milk by themselves. I take that back. I say, all right. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab it.
You pick the cup.
Yeah. I have them.
Right? They can pick the cup.
I pick the cup. I'm gonna make a bunch of chocolate milk, but first we gotta go get your brother. So you want to go ahead and watch cartoons with Bryce on the couch for now?
Bryce, who has just been like sitting there staring and hasn't been watching what's going on because heard the crawling on the ceiling, heard the scraping, was like, I can't look at it. And the two of them kind of look at each other like, okay, and they like let go. I think
better idea. Sorry, better idea. As you described their trauma and stuff, I know that we should probably give them something to do to get their head out of their head, you know? So I go, Bryce, do me a favor. And then Bryce, like, however it is they walk over, I'm like, do me a solid.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hook the kids up with some chocolate milk and put some cartoons on for them while we go find deer? Okay, thank you so much, Bryce. Hey, Bryce, you're doing a great job. Doing a great job.
It takes the two of them and heads into the kitchen, and they're just kind of like they.
All right, and yeah, I look at Tia and I'm like, all right, Tia, let's do this.
And so before we leave, I will look at the two other ones and then have like all the plates and bowls and stuff that's been out on the table, and then say to them like, oh, well, which one of these is the one that your brother likes? Like, what's your brother's favorite?
He likes the, it's, I can't remember the name. It starts with a T, and he's pointing at like the teal plate and the teal cup. Mm-hmm.
All right, and then cool. We're gonna take these.
I think that was Nadim who said that, and Nadi's like, it's teal. The word's teal, dummy. And he's like, don't call me a dummy.
And I look over and I say, squad. What does squad do? Squad helps squad.
Be nice.
Yeah, squad doesn't hurt squad. Squad helps squad. All right, we'll be back soon.
You hear Naji turn to him. I'm sorry.
And I look over at Tia and I go, they're good kids. They're good kids.
But yeah.
What?
She just says, they're 4. Like, Tia just doesn't really like kids, and it's just like, we'll just cope.
You know what? I'm not clocking that, though. Like, my character's not clocking that, and it's just like, man, Tia's so good with kids.
You head up the stairs, into the master bedroom, into the bathroom, and you see Nadir lifting the toilet up and down, and there's just water spraying everywhere. Can't lift this up. It was heavy before.
And I look at Tia and I'm like, you want to take this one again, or should I step up to the plate?
You're very, very strong. I don't know if I could lift it. Could I try to lift it? And then I'm going to kind of sort of show the claws still, right? Like show this sign of like, oh, we're similar. You've got your stuff and I've got my stuff. Kind of try to step in and basically be distracting to aid on Ellie's check. Helping hand?
Yes. Yeah, you can do the helping hand. So, hi, Ellie. So here's what I need from you. I'm gonna ask for a reflex first, in case he tries to run. Unless you want to posit something else to me, and if you do catch him, I'm gonna ask for a strength roll to hold him there.
I don't have any better ideas, so I'll go ahead and. So we're trying to catch, like, physically catch this kid.
So there's two things. So one, we're trying to catch the kids, and two, we're trying to get them to calm down so they don't try to go buck wild again while Bryce is babysitting, because you two still have to leave. You have other calls that you're gonna get. You can't stay here the whole night.
Yeah. Okay.
I was thinking this is more like the reverse, right? We're trying to calm them down and then capture.
Right.
Whatever way you want to do it, but those two things have to happen. Catch them, calm them down.
All right. I think that you've gotten the item out of their hands, and I think that that's very generally very helpful. I also think that the kids have shown that they can be we've reasoned with them with the plates and stuff like that. We've reasoned with them with the drawing kind of explanation I gave, right? So I think that they've kind of demonstrated that we don't need to literally physically restrain them or something. So I'm going to try to go for a little bit more of a sort of leveled approach. So as you kind of take the thing out of their hand, right, to kind of help trade them. Right.
Their favorite plate, their teal plate. I'm going to trade them the plate for the toilet.
Yeah. And I say, you know what we can put on that plate as they take the plate?
What?
Donut holes.
Chalky donut holes?
Chalky donut holes.
Did you get some for Najee and Nadim too?
They got strawberry and blueberry donut holes, but you know what else we got? And then I pull out the cup, the teal cup. And I go, you know what we can put? Yeah, we know it's your cup. You know what we can put in the cup? Chalky milk to dip the chalky donut holes. And so I want to propose rolling intelligence because I know that they fuck with this real heavy.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Let's do it. Intelligence roll, you need a 6 or higher.
Okay. Even without the additional die, I will still roll the additional die roll. Okay. So 10 plus 3, 13.
Yeah, no, literally, and kind of stands up. The kid is soaking wet, though. That is a factual statement. Chucky donuts, Chucky holes, Chucky milk. Let's go. And, starts, trying to walk past you down the stairs.
And I'm like, hold on, little I feel like saying little bowl. No, you can. You can say that. I was like, is this a word, an animal that is synonymous with some sort of insult of some sort? And
I don't think so.
Hey, yo. Yeah. I go, hey, my little minotaur. Because that's the thing in this world now, I guess. And then I grab a towel, right? And I Toro. And I wiggle the towel and stuff. And then they in the hope that they'll run into the towel and then I'll kind of dry them off with the towel, you know?
They think it's kind of funny and they're like,
yeah, and and then I wrap them in the towel and I shake the water out of their hair and stuff. And I'm like, all right, go downstairs and let's get some donut holes and chalky milk.
And I think by the time you get them downstairs, the donut holes and the chalky milk and stuff is there. The Uber Eats or DoorDash, whichever y'all used, is very quick. Kind of comes hey, what's up? All right.
They look inside the house. There's just claw marks on the ceiling and furniture knocked over.
Not my problem.
Knows werewolves exist, so it's all right, well, whatever.
Yeah, looks over his shoulder, sees the full moon, and is just
Figures.
So you've got the donuts for the kids. They're sitting at the table right now. They're eating. Bryce has takes one of the blueberry ones. The kids are really good at sharing, you know that. So they want Bryce to take some. Nadir is a little bit less good at sharing, but he really loves Bryce. So he's okay. However, so Nadim has been fully calmed down. Now Najee and Nadir still have kind of that excess energy that's happening, very much so they need one more. You need one more check for the two of them. Yes.
Don't forget that one of those, they got a critical, so they did both of the
Yeah.
checks at once.
Yeah, so Nadim's done. Nadim is cool, calm, great, like 2 successes in that from the whole thing.
It's
like,
Najee
okay.
and Deer that still have to be calmed down a little bit.
Yes, that have a little bit more. So we have 2 roles here that I will let y'all decide. Pitch to me what like skill it should be to like get this last 2 to be like, hey, so we need to be chill, we need to calm down, we need to make it easy for Bryce, like that kind of thing. Like, how are we doing this here?
I'm gonna ask out of character if this is realistic to another player who has children. That player is permanent DM. Would it be reasonable to like, play wrestle with the kids to tucker them out?
I mean, even if they didn't have supernatural strength, probably. It depends on the kids in general. I was going to do something sort of similar. My initial thought was, let's make some sort of game, because sit down and eat a meal is never sit and eat a meal. It's always sit, 5 other things and 3 other questions and a little short story, and like there's a process. So basically I was thinking of like the board game night. Anyone who has like board games, they also have like something for the kids to do while the adults are playing like a longer form game or something like that. And so that's what she wants to do, is sort of play into the donut hole thing, and like you're like, okay, well, you got to save some of the donut holes for later, and then we'll sort of bracket off some of the donut holes until they play like another game or something else to do. So have like a charades game or something that involves them like running back and forth or doing some sort of physical activity is what my guess would be. Like, yeah.
I think as you like cordon off the like donut holes, Nadir drops out of chair. It's like, I'm a bull. I'm a bull.
Oh, this
And
one's
the,
easy. This one's easy. I just start playing like the little Matador game. I grab like another blanket or something like that, and it's just like Matador time.
I think Nadim, who is a little tuckered out after like has been using like your werewolf stuff. Like it can be a little bit like tiring on the body, right? Like when you shift back, you sleep for like a hot minute. And while they don't have the full thing going on, they're toddlers, so it's like with whatever's going on, it's like, I'm just gonna sit and watch. I'm sleepy. But Najee kind of jumps down. Oh, I can be a bull too. I can be a bull. And the 2 of them are just kind of.
So, yeah, I was gonna say if Najee goes to like get down, because like I know if the 2 of them are being bulls, they might fight with one another. So kind of try to separate them and be like, oh, well, Najee, the bulls need a crowd to cheer them on, and your brother's really tired, so you're gonna have to cheer twice as hard. Can you be 2 people's worth of cheering?
Yeah, I can cheer. Okay, I need you to. I need a. So like gets hype immediately as you say that, but I think there as she's about to do it, I think there's a pause of like, well, why can't we both be the bull? Like you can see the gears turning in her head. So make me a.
I say, because we got to take turns, right? Feels super good to have someone cheer for you, right? So it's like they get to be the bull, and you cheer on them, and you make them feel special. But then you take turns, and then the other gets to be the bull and have someone cheer for them too.
And I'm assuming this is your helping hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, or the other way, right? Either he's helping me, or I could also help him and be like, oh no, this is the game. We're setting up rules, right? There's not gonna be super complicated rules, but just like a real quick, like, oh, we've got to cheer because the bull needs a cheerleader, and then when it's your turn, they're gonna have to cheer. And if you cheer really, really loud, then they're gonna have to cheer really, really loud to be as loud as you cheered, right? So you kind of give them a role.
Okay, so I think that could be either charisma or intelligence because you were explaining the rules kind of thing. So whoever's going to do that, take the helping hand and roll for me, please. With the understanding, somebody, I will say Ellie, since since Ellie is actually playing with Nadir, you'd be the one doing the strength check for like the thing and wearing them out, or reflex, whichever one you think would work better with it.
I think for what I was doing, Man, it probably would be.
I think yours would be. I think it makes more sense, like just as us being able to share roles back and forth. If you helping hand me, because I do the intelligence thing, because you're going
That's
to
what
need
I
to
wanted to
do
do.
the side of it.
That's
Yeah.
what I wanted to do. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay. Let's not do that. That's good. So I rolled 2 1s, and then I re-rolled one of them into a 6. No.
Okay.
Oh, that's another thing,
That was
folks.
real bad.
That's real bad. That's another thing, folks. If you have the helping hand and you roll a critical fail, you can re-roll one of those dice. So that's one of the good things about playing with 2 people. Obviously, of course, if you play with just you and your GM can find ways to give you advantage as it like stands. But okay, so what is the total?
10.
10. Oh yeah, that jumped real high. It's like, okay, I'll have my turn and just like, whoa, yeah, whoa, go ball. And Nadir is just like, and is running around towards you. All right, last roll of this scenario. You get this right, it's done. You don't, Nadir's running out of the house.
Well, we gotta let them trade places. So I think that this one would be, I'll say it's probably a charisma roll for me, like playing with the kids, trying to make the game entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Is the argument I'm going to make.
Yeah.
And would you be willing to lend a helping hand? Okay. How would
Yeah,
you
we
do
got to switch roles. So I'm gonna be like, all right, Laura, I'm gonna be the explainer, and then you're gonna be the person that's actually the fun one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm the matador. Okay. Oh, right. I get to reroll one. Okay. That's gonna be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, no, you Tucker Nadir out so much. However, because again, playing together, Nadir has a hard time sharing like stuff, but doesn't have a hard time switching out in games and stuff. And so I was like, okay, Najee, it's your turn, and now I gotta be the and like getting really loud. And by the time the game is over, first off, Nadim fell asleep in the chair, but Bryce like kind of picked him up and is holding him as he sleeps. And the other two are just like, I'm sleepy. I want to go sleep.
Sleepy time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sleepy time.
Two sleepy kids and 2 people helping. So let's get them to bed.
Mm-hmm.
But I suggest that each one of us takes like a hand. Like I take Najee, and I suggest that Tia takes like Nadim, and I suggest that Bryce takes like Nadir, and I suggest like we all.
But Bryce has got Nadim because
Nadim has fallen asleep.
Yeah. So each one of us takes one, and we kind of all put them in their respective beds. The suggestion. I'm not gonna.
No, that. Bryce's like, yeah, that. Thank you. And you head up to the room. The 3 of them share a room together. It's kind of got a little section, kind of section off a little bit so they can have all their toys in one place, but they can all like come together and like do their thing. But you put them down in their beds, like tuck them in. Bryce comes over and kisses each of them on the head and like turns the night light on and cracks the door just a little bit because that's how they like it, and then turns to the 2 of you. Thank you so much.
And I go, squad. And I like, yeah.
Squad. And with the close of this scenario, folks, that's where we're gonna end the game.
So one last thing that Tia will do is we leave this scenario. She's gonna kind of look over at Ellie and just be like, when the day comes that you do actually have a chance with a mate, that sort of stuff is going to be much better than all of your other stuff. And then she just sort of walks off.
And like,
to the next call.
I call out. So you're saying I got a chance?
And as you walk off into the distance, you hear a distressing howl. You know the tone and pitch of this howl. Something has gone terribly wrong in the woods, and you head off towards it, and that's where we end the game, folks.
Have fun.
Thank you
Great
so
job,
much for
DJ.
playing. Thank you so much for playing this with me. I really appreciate it. And thank you, gentle viewers, for watching. I had a blast. I loved explaining this to you as well as it was happening. And yeah, if you haven't already, go check out the backer kit. If you can't afford it right now, there's a $1 pledge that gives you access to the pledge manager after it's done, so you can get stuff when you have the option. Again, thank you so much, and catch you later. Peace out.